Listen up to the truth, to the truth, to the truth. I'm a spark, I'm a fire, I'ma get going. I'm a song, I'm a rhythm, I'ma get flowing. I'm a flower, I'm a weed, I got the truth in my pocket. Are you ready now? Said, are you ready now? It's time to make a change. Not tomorrow, together.
History is so important. You have to know where you came from to know where you're going.
My name is Levi Vanderhoop. I graduated Martha's Vineyard Regional High School in 2019.
My name is Hannah Santos. I am a graduate from MVRHS 2023. Martha's Vineyard is a special community made up of a dynamic and diverse population. Among the many outstanding people of the island, we are privileged to have Black, Indigenous, people of color, and immigrant elders whose powerful personal stories profoundly enrich our lives.
I was fortunate to be a part of the early stages as a student interviewer under the MV branch of the Asalh's Oral History Project. The experience of speaking directly with someone who remembers living through the milestones of history and seeing that history come alive through their stories affected me in a deeply meaningful way.
In this video, you are going to see some of the living legends whom students have researched, met with, and interviewed over the past few years with the MV Living Legends Project. And you will see how this communication among generations can create understanding and connection.
We have chosen the themes of ancestors, influence, and Martha's Vineyard connections as a focus for this video. This compilation of short clips from some of the interviewers is the first of many to come.
Other legendary elders have been recorded. Many more will follow.
These videos will be in our archives and shared in classrooms, libraries, museums, and other venues. Let's listen now to the voices and stories from some of our outstanding island elders.
My name is Beverly Wright. I live in Aquinnah. I was born here, grew up here, and I have 2 children that have gone through the school, but they're all grown, and I was chair of the tribe for 5 terms. My grandfather was the chief of the tribe, and all my relatives are here that I have still living. I seem to be related to everybody in Aquinnah. If your last name is Vanderhoop and Madison, I can trace my lineage back to the 1870 census here in the Commonwealth of Mass, and I link my heritage to Vanderhoop, Manning, and Hawaswi.
How would you describe the way that tribe has evolved with the rest of the world that's Martha's Vineyard in the country itself?
As tribal people, we are always trying to keep our old ways, our culture, and our traditions, and then also to be part of the non-tribal world. And that's very hard for, I think, all of us. It's hard living in 2 worlds if you want to keep your culture and your tradition. Some tribal members have, they just go with the flow, and some tribal members have 1 foot here and 1 foot there.
Let me tell you the story about my ancestor. This is the real deal. My great, and I don't know how many greats, grandmother, there's 2 Trail of Tears, right? There's the native Trail of Tears, and there's an African American Trail of Tears. And they would take people from Northern Virginia, walk the slaves in chains, walk the slaves down through the South to pick cotton and tobacco. And it took months, winters, to walk. So one of my ancestors, it was a female, was on that trail. And she walked halfway there. She got impregnated by a white master. She had that baby. Now, can you imagine this? This is what brings tears to my eyes because it's my family. She had that baby chained to 2 men. She had that baby. She laid down in that field, had that baby. This is the winter. Had that baby. You know what she did? She picked that baby up. She cleaned herself off. She put that baby on her back, and she kept walking. Now that, I can't tell you what that does for me in terms of my own power and strength. That's where it comes from. I know that's where it comes from.
My great-grandmother was Anna Dukes. Mm-hmm. She lived in a log cabin, and she was born a slave. We were told by her that she thought she was born in the 1840s. Wow. And she lived well beyond 100. Wow. And I knew her until I was like 13 years old when she died. But she was the first one to tell me about the secret, sacred songs of the enslaved. And I was fascinated, just fascinated.
My mother was a grand lady, in my opinion. She stopped school when she was in 6th grade.
Wow.
And began to work to help support herself and her family. She was born, I was checking today, if she were living, she'd be 99 years old. And at the time that she stopped school at 6th grade, she began to do work as a maid and a nursemaid for white families.
If you don't mind me asking, why did she stop going to school in 6th grade?
At the time, it was normative, unfortunately, for African American youth to not have access to schooling as did whites. For an example, she told me when she was a young girl that sometimes, because there were like people who say grew string beans, they would close the African American schools, and a truck would come to the parking lot, and children would go and get on this truck and go to pick beans for the local farmers. And there were not opportunities for high schools in her community.
Wow.
What chef or person had the greatest impact on you?
That's simple. My mother. She wasn't a chef, but she was the person who taught me how to cook. My mother actually was a trained dietitian, which is, the study of food another kind of way. And my mother, who would have been, 110 or 111 if she had survived, went to school for it. So she was one of the early people who began to learn about food and cooking. And so I always had good food growing up. She was an extraordinary cook. They talk about left brain, right brain. Some people are very good cooks and can improvise with savory dishes. Some people are better with sweets or with pastries. I happen to not be good at all with pastries, but my mother was good at both. She died 24 years ago, and when I was cleaning out her refrigerator, there was a ramekin of mac and cheese. And my mom made great mac and cheese, and we had it every Thanksgiving. I don't know if we had it at Christmas, I'm not sure. But I scraped off a little bit, risked ptomaine, ate it, and it gave me a taste of mom's food. So I have maintained that ramekin in my freezer for 25 years.
Wow.
And every Thanksgiving, if I'm home or some point during the year, I scrape off a little piece, risk. So anytime people ask who my greatest influence was, it was my mother.
My parents weren't in the medical field, but they felt like they were because I contracted polio at the age of 3 before the actual polio vaccine was discovered. So my parents had a lot of experience with going back and forth to a pediatric hospital. They spent a lot of time taking turns because both my parents work. You asked me if they influenced me as far as my profession. They told me I could be whatever I wanted to be. You want to give back to all of those people who helped you. And so I knew my career mode would be in health education or health service. So that's how I ended up in the health career.
If I'm 95, you know, my mother lived a long time ago. One day, the music teacher, the kindergarten teacher was sick. And so they always played for assembly. So the principal said, well, we don't have a teacher, and I don't know if anybody can play the piano. And my mother said, I can, because she was just like I am, or I'm just like her, sort of mouthy. So he said, but you're only 10 years old. She said, well, I can play every song she played, meaning the teacher. And so she proceeded to play every song that they sang in assembly.
I had a great-great-grandfather named David M. Anderson, who was a Buffalo soldier. He was in the 114th Regiment of the USCT. And I found out USCT meant U.S. colored troops. So he fought battles and witnessed massacres that were perpetrated by the Confederates.
Everybody steps on somebody's shoulders, and I must have stepped on somebody else's shoulders to get where I am. And I'm pretty sure somebody stepped on my shoulders to get where they are.
You know, how did I learn? And I had a mentor. Well, there was this guy that came down from Chicago, Illinois. His name was Robert Sinstack. He was from a family of journalists. They started a newspaper called the Chicago Daily Defender. I took pictures of people that I loved, right, who made a mark in Black history, either in entertainment, in politics.
Who is your role model through your journey of feminism?
My role model was Mrs. Fannie Lou Hamer. I met her when I was a senior in college. She came to speak at my college. I went to McAllister College in St. Paul, Minnesota, which is probably the most unlikely place to expect to see her. But here was this magnificent woman. So I saw her and she spoke about the 1968 convention. She spoke about founding the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party. She spoke about being an advocate for women's liberation. So I was fascinated by her, but I didn't really meet her until I was a senior in college and did an oral history project in Mississippi. And I got to know her. And then when I came back and worked in Mississippi as a community organizer, I got to spend more time with her. And so she was the person who really helped me bridge. And she was this amazing Black woman from a Mississippi Delta plantation. And she helped me bridge the world of racial social justice and feminism. And so she was my role model.
When I turned 5 years of age, on August 21st, 1937, my mother said, now you've got to get a library card. We're going to the library. Well, I'm only 5 years old. I wasn't even really reading them, but we should have to get something to read. And so she picked out a book for me on the life of Dr. George Washington Carver. We took the book home, and we sat on the porch, and she read the book to me. It wasn't a long book, but she read it. It was a very short book. And I was in awe. I was just amazed to hear about somebody who had taken a peanut, or the peanuts, and developed chemically over 300 substances from the peanut shell, the peanut covering, and the peanut itself. And I swear to this day that I had made a decision, maybe unconsciously, but along the way, that I was going to be a George Washington Carver, that I was going to do what he had done with the peanut in his laboratory at Tuskegee Institute.
My mother, back in the 50s, she read about this song about Cape Cod and how African Americans were going to Cape Cod, and she wanted to know where this place was. So Her and my dad and a couple of sisters went to Plymouth. And they saw naturally the Plymouth Rock and stuff like that. And while they were there, they met this woman, this African-American woman, and said, if you think this is beautiful, there's a place called Martha's Vineyard you should visit while you're here.
Do you believe that there is a lot of racism on Martha's Vineyard specifically?
You know, I don't think there's a lot of racism on the vineyard. There is some, but I don't, in my experience, there's not a lot. There is some. When I first arrived on the vineyard, Circuit Avenue was a dirt road. Can you believe that was before you were born? And at the beginning of the summer in those early years, I frequently heard white people saying, here comes the N-word. In those early years, Blacks couldn't purchase a home in Vineyard Haven or Edgartown, only in Oak Bluffs, where there were Black domestics lived who worked summers in Edgartown in the homes. Now, I was married in Oak Bluffs in 1951. Now, that's long before you were born. And on our first anniversary celebration, I called to make a reservation at a hotel in Edgartown so my husband and I could celebrate our first anniversary. And when we, and I made the reservation by phone. And when we arrived, I could tell by the look that they didn't expect that we were Black. And they wouldn't seat us. And so it was clearly evident that that they were shocked that we were a Black couple, and they made several excuses and they wouldn't serve us. And my husband never set foot in Edgartown again. I mean, we were just so hurt.
Mi nombre es Washington Ledesma, originado de Sudamérica, Uruguay. Nací en la ciudad de Montevideo y me transferí a Estados Unidos a la edad de 30 años. Allí pasaron problemas con la política, problemas con el gobierno, problemas de guerrilleros. Toda la estructura del país empezó a cambiar. Yo participé en una clase en la universidad que solo 2 estudiantes estaban vivos. Uno era Washington Ledesma, que me costó 10 años de regresar al Uruguay. Y cuando regresé, mi abuela murió, mi madre murió. Uno de ellos, que era prácticamente con el cual tenía más relación, también falleció. Fue encontrar un hueco muy grande. Al final me radiqué en la ciudad de Boston, trabajé en Harvard University, el estudio de cerámica, y de ahí un día me invitó una señora que tenía una galería aquí en el Vineyard. Vine aquí y me quedé aquí en el Vineyard, porque me hizo recordar mucho en el pueblo donde vivía en Uruguay.
I was born in Boston, Massachusetts, June 11th, 1939. I spent my first birthday here in June of 1940.
During your grandmother's time, when she came to Martha's Vineyard, did she face the same amount of discrimination on the island as Boston, or like how was it, less or more?
I would say I am sure it was less, and which is why she felt it was good to bring us here. She was biracial, so she had racist reactions from whites and from Blacks. The first property she bought was what is now 12 Myrtle Avenue, and in fact, it was 3 lots, a house on 2 lots and a barn. And that was in 1944. And she bought it from Manuel Gonzalez, for $800. She was a domestic. She worked in the department stores in Boston, but she was trustworthy and she paid on time and paid whatever she could, and she was trusted. And so when Manuel Gonzalez decided to sell the next 2 lots, he offered it to her first. And he said, I know you'll pay for it when you can. And then the lots across the street, she bought in 1954, and it was the same situation. And her what she told us as kids was, I told him I'll give you a nickel down and a nickel when you catch me. And she would just laugh about that. My grandfather, Ralph, he worked in the city. He was a presser by trade. We were middle class. We were working class, a working class family. He was a presser by trade, which meant he worked in the garment district and he pressed clothes. She told us a story later that she signed his name. And for a number of years, because they had rented prior to that, and for a number of years when they were renting 12 Myrtle Avenue, he said, why do we keep renting this place? It needs work. Every time I come, we've got something we got to do. And she finally had to tell him that she had bought it and signed his name. And of course he was irate and told her he would not, because he was giving her some monies to be able to manage here. And he told her that he was not going to give her any more money and she'd have to do it on her own. And she did.
Wow. That's amazing.
He did it by taking extra jobs.
So you've had such, throughout your life, you have had such like amazing experiences and so many crazy things happen to you. I just wanted to know, throughout your life, what was like the most valuable life lesson that you have learned that you can also share with us who are like gonna grow old?
I have to say that the most valuable life lesson I had was with my family in being proud of who I was, proud of where I came from, proud of who my family was. As I said, we were working class. We did not have means, we did not have money, but I think I just kept on going because I felt like I was valued and I was of value. And it didn't, and I didn't know I was poor until I went to college and saw what other kids had, so but that has carried me through everything that I've ever done. So it's like, when you feel good about yourself and feel like what goes on around you sometimes might hurt a little bit, but it doesn't stop you. And that's what's important. Thanks for that question.
How I would like to change Aquinnah for the better is, I think, out of my hands. And it would be me saying pie in the sky that I'd like it to be the way it was before, but I know that can't happen. But I would like the island to know that we are still here, that we were the first inhabitants of Martha's Vineyard. And I think that's something that our tribe is proud of, and I would like the residents of Martha's Vineyard to know about it also.
Listen up to the truth, to the truth, to the truth. I'm a spark, I'm a fire, I'ma get going. I'm a song, I'm a rhythm, I'ma get flowing. I'm a flower, I'm a weed, I got the truth in my pocket. Are you ready now? Said, are you ready now? 'Cause I'm gonna use it. It's time to make a change. Not tomorrow, together. Gotta make it through the day without someone being thrown away. It's time to take a stand. Louder, together. The sun will shine, so let it shine. The time is now, so people can stop. C-H-A-N-G-E, change. It's so simple, I'll try this world's mighty strange. It's fundamental, C-H-A-N-G-E, C-H-A-N-G-E, change. So people can stop. I'm a heavy, I'm a hard, I'm a shine down. Speaking up, can you hear me? Gotta get going. I'm a tear, I'm a twist, I'm a dance now. Got fear, a little scared, can't stop me.